Big Papa Bitcoin, the behemoth that started it all with humble beginnings of around $20 pizza purchases for 10,000 BTC, to its all-time highs, and at the time of recording this, that's around $69,000. A low of 0.002 and a high of $69,000. Let that just kind of sink in for a second. Hey there, John Henry here, Slingshot Futures Trading Group, SSFTG. If the 34.5 million X gains that Bitcoin had from the low to the highs has you interested, then you're probably among the mass number of new investors eyeballing it as a potential investment avenue. Now, to be 100% transparent, if it wasn't obvious already, I'm a huge fan and supporter of cryptocurrency. I accept it as payment on my website. I accept it for, I use it. I mean, it's everywhere. That is, I'm a huge fan. So being right up front, totally transparent, I'm obviously going to have a slight bullish skew that's just kind of built into my perspective. I do as much as I can to avoid this, to stay neutral, but I am human, and, you know, I will have a bias. Whenever we're considering an addition to a long-term portfolio, we have to dig deeper than the technicals. Just like we did when we reviewed SHIB and Doge earlier this week, Bitcoin is no different. We need to know how the company is running, or how the coin is running. How's the roadmap? Are developments on track? How is the global economic climate in relation to crypto? That's a big one. Are governments adopting, or are they pushing back against Bitcoin? Are there any current concerns happening, like regulation and legislation and all this other stuff? And then beyond that, how is the user experience? Do I use it, right? I definitely do, but do you? Have you ever made a purchase or sale in Bitcoin, and what did that look and feel like? Those are the questions that we have to ask ourselves if this is going to be a viable long-term investment. We should have the answers to those fundamental questions. And again, these are the fundamental questions that we have to understand for long-term investments to remain viable in our portfolios. If we don't know what we're investing in, then how can we ever continue to support it or back it or have any certainty or hope in it if we have no idea what it is or how it even works? So with that in mind, how's Bitcoin doing? Well, I mean, from its last peak, it pressed nearly $3 trillion in its market cap. So here is the chart of the market cap as a whole, and obviously it started off incredibly minuscule way back in the day when, it was worth not a whole lot when you're trading 10,000 of them for a probably $20 pizza. So when this first rally up happened, they pushed almost into a 1 trillion market cap straight out of the gates, and then from there bounced all the way back to almost nothing comparatively for very long periods of time before they finally screamed higher. Now, it looks absurd, and it looks like, wow, that was almost nothing in terms of the market cap, but that was when the market was pulling back from the 20,000 high all the way down. So obviously, there was still a lot trading in that area, but nowhere near the $1 trillion market cap that it had. So, with that $3 trillion market cap that it had peaked out at, and considering that it was under $1 trillion in 2018 and it's kind of tripled since then in less than 2 years, it seems like things are going quite well and they're on track to keep growing. At this rate of growth, basically adding about a 1 trillion a year with exponential growth as tech typically does, we should expect a market cap of around 10 trillion as early as 2024 to as late as 2030. Obviously, there's a lot of things in the way of that with regulations and everything else, but assuming smooth sailing, that's pretty incredible. Now, if we switch gears for a second and compare that to the US total market cap, which is nearing almost 27 trillion now, it's got a ways to go, right? For sure. But considering that 10 trillion could be in the not too distant future and the New York Stock Exchange total market cap is 27 almost, that's pretty insane. The potential it's absolutely immense. If we focus in further within the current 2 trillion market cap that it is now, right, and we look within that 2 trillion market cap where it's sort of pulled back to more currently, we have a little bit of a different context in that Bitcoin holds its dominance. And you can see the Bitcoin dominance on the next chart here. Let me find it. Here we go. This is the Bitcoin dominance chart, and as we can see, the dominance at the moment remains at about 41.9%. Now, what does that mean? That effectively means that of all of crypto, every coin, every project, every blockchain, everything, Bitcoin remains 41.93% of the overall crypto value. So it shows you how strong Bitcoin is. Obviously, before there were 1,000,003 altcoins, the dominance was incredibly high in the 70% range. But now with all these different altcoins and different projects and all these different things that are going on, that dominance has been sort of drying up. And that kind of makes sense. Money is being dispersed across a lot of different projects, not just Bitcoin in and of itself. So when we compare that to the U.S. total market cap of 27 trillion, it's getting there. It's got a long way to go, but the potential is pretty crazy. Now, Ethereum, if we're looking at the dominance perspective, Ethereum is another one that is of a little bit of kind of a concern of the long-term health of Bitcoin for what's called the flippening. Here is the overall picture going across all of them as far as dominance is concerned. And again, here we can see that the dominance of Bitcoin is doing quite well. But notice, there are some that are definitively creeping higher, and Ethereum is on that list. Ethereum's already at 21.3%, at least at the time of recording this. And the reason being is a lot of people are developing on Ethereum. That's kind of what started it all. That's the development chain. So yes, there are alternatives, and Solana and some of these other ones are definitive names that are creeping up on the list. But Ethereum is the one that remains the common threat. And that's something that we've got to pay attention to, because if Ethereum flips dominance with Bitcoin, that could be a little bit of a nerve-wracking scenario if you don't know what it means. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that the value of Bitcoin will suffer as a result of this, but it does mean that people will see Bitcoin as less and less of a store of value in favor of other asset classes. This immediately tells us that we have to diversify our crypto portfolios outside of just Bitcoin to compensate for the risk and favor for the altcoin rally potential. Now, taking a look at the economic and global climate around Bitcoin, there are ups and downs as far, and it's kind of par for the course, really. Some countries are pushing back against it, while other countries are not only adopting it, but they're using it as legal tender and buying the dip to add to their stacks. Here's looking at you, El Salvador. The biggest issue, really, that we have to face with crypto is the dreaded financial R word, regulations. Regulations. They got to regulate this and overdo that, and you know how it goes. That's what the U.S. is good at. We love pizza, football, and for some strange reason, regulations. We just can't make money unless we get our fingers in that little cookie jar, so to speak. The last time banks were screaming about Bitcoin being trash and a horrible investment and a guaranteed loss, they were buying the dip and accumulating it. Don't listen to the pundit garbage that you see on the news. You got to follow the money, right? The banking sector knew then, and it still knows now, that they are out of a job in SOL if they don't regulate and govern crypto before it explodes. At a market cap of 1 to 3 trillion, that's still kind of manageable. But still, now we have countries buying in, and if it starts going beyond the current market cap by much, going above 3 trillion, 4 trillion, 5 trillion, it begins spiraling out of control, and they can no longer maintain their grip on it. Terrifying for them, incredibly powerful for the people. So they're trying to regulate it, and there's that R word again, regulation. Here we go again. That will always be the case until it spirals out of control, or they find a way to regulate it. So expect this to be a constant issue for a while. It's not going away. Now, as far as the use case goes, I've personally used Bitcoin a ton. I accept it as payment on SSFTG. We actually even offer a discount for using it. Obviously, mass adoption is a big thing when it comes to cryptocurrencies. And, it's something that you have to understand how it works and how it gets used. I accept crypto as a payment for my business, as well as personally transferring between friends and family. I've got all kinds of members that have used crypto to sign up. And heck, like I said, we even offer a 12% discount, up to a 12% discount for using crypto, meaning that you can actually save anywhere from $36 on the Day Trading Academy to $600 on VIP Elite membership just for using crypto. It's faster, it's easier, it's more secure, and it's cheaper to use, and the rewards that you gain for using it are just far better. As an example, the Crypto.com debit card has an 8%, or one of them has up to an 8% cash back on every purchase, and you earn that reward in Crow. Sheesh. So the use case is solid, right? It works, period. And I can only assume that more and more and more businesses will move into the crypto space as time goes on. Why in the world wouldn't they? Now, if we take a look in Bitcoin's history, and this is from the Wikipedia page, so when we're looking at Bitcoin's history, right here is the only event that has ever happened in Bitcoin's history. So again, in Bitcoin's history, there's only been the one issue that took place, and that's back in August 6th in 2010. It was a major vulnerability in the Bitcoin protocol, and the transactions weren't properly verified before they were included into the blockchain, which basically let users create an infinite amount of coins, and boy, did they. They made 184 billion Bitcoins with the exploit. That said, within hours of the transaction taking place, it was spotted and erased from the log, and the protocol network was forked to an updated version, and that was the only issue in all of Bitcoin's history. So that's pretty incredible. As of writing this, 90% of all Bitcoin has been mined. We hear that thrown around all over the place. So when we're looking at Bitcoin, 90% of it being mined, oh no, does that mean that it's time to give up because you're never going to get any? No. In fact, the final 10%, the way that Bitcoin mining is scaled, is going to take over 100 years to mine. Like, it was like 120 years. With the final coin anticipated to take 40 years just by itself. So in our lifetime, probably not going to be a big issue, right? For our kids who hopefully inherit our incredible crypto fortune, maybe it's going to be a problem for them, right? So what does it mean when all of the Bitcoins are mined? Well, no more will ever be made. There will be, and only will ever be, 21 million Bitcoin minted. Ever, right? So when those are all mined, that's it. That's done. Generally, when you have no more of something that everybody wants a piece of, the price goes up, right? That's kind of how that works. A lot. And you can hopefully see what I'm getting at here. It may not be that much of a problem for the inheritors, right? It might be actually a pretty good thing. So we have to ask ourselves, with all of the information that we have so far, is Bitcoin a good investment going into 2022? If you haven't added it to the portfolio yet, is it something that is, worth consideration? Well, first off, again, I say this a million times. I'm not a financial advisor. I can't tell you what to do with your money. Use some common sense in the thing between your ears, and it'll get you in the right places, generally speaking. I say it all the time, I know, but do your homework, right? I think Bitcoin has a bright future. And as an investment, both technically and fundamentally, from what I've seen, countries have tried banning it and failed. Actually, in their attempts to get rid of crypto, they did nothing but reinforce both the coin and the community behind it. So is the case for a lot of things that attempt to get banned. And that's a really good sign for continued strength that will likely continue into the future. Now, don't get me wrong, I do have concerns. Like I said, I've got concerns for the flippening and government regulations and all of that kind of stuff. But that's always going to be an issue with crypto until they can figure out a way to monetize it. Let's be real. Again, that's what the US and most governments do. They are a business after all. I would 100% expect to see some kind of stable in-house coin within banks that are blockchain based. The thing is, they need to find a way to hide transactions because blockchains are transparent, and that's about the last thing banks want. Just saying. I believe Bitcoin holds a strong spot on the list of investments for the portfolio. Definitely. But it should not be there alone as a standalone investment. There are too many other cryptocurrencies and projects and things going on to ignore that bring so much value and a thriving community to the table that they have to be considered as not only a hedge, but as a secondary opportunity play. All right, that's going to do it for this one. I hope this overview helps you out. If you're trying to buy your first Bitcoin or fraction of one, since they're like $50,000 right now, or $47,000 at this point, you can super easily on crypto.com. I have a referral link below that will get you a bunch of Crow coins to get started, and you can link your debit card and credit card straight to the app. Most purchase minimums are like $1 to $5 at a time too, so you don't even have to be investing a ton to get started. If you have any other questions or anything that you want me to take a look at for you as far as crypto or any of those crazy altcoins, make sure to drop them in the comments below or shoot me a message at jhb@ssftg.com. Have a great one. We'll talk to y'all later. Thanks.